In our journey through life, we search for something that makes us feel as though we are complete. It is a quest for wholeness, a quest for integration and healing in the pursuit of the final point of balance. This is the 0 point, our higher self, our consciousness, otherwise known as the soul. It's where our matter meets antimatter. And as that 3-dimensional experience unfolds, the views of amnesia are placed upon us as the universe unfolds itself, following the planned path within our very own creation. And so we search for love. We search for love with another, thinking, hoping, believing that they would complete us. What we're really doing is actually searching for ourselves. We search for ourselves in another. Love is an intangible thing that flows and intertwines itself throughout the universe. It is like the wind. We cannot see it, we can feel it. It's like the waves in the ocean. It is constantly flowing. And so when we try to confine it, when we try to categorize it, when we try to distinguish it, and when we try to organize it, that's when we get disappointed. When I closed off my heart to love, I had a very negative belief system and outlook on that word, arguing the fact that, love does exist, just not in this reality, not in this world. I didn't believe in love at all. And the very beginning of my spiritual awakening occurred when I had met my twin flame. And as I mentioned countless times in my other videos, the twin flame label is not to be confused with human love. They will come into your life and they will test your honor. They will test your loyalty, or the opposite. As multidimensional beings, we interact with other beings from different dimensions and different stages of consciousness. And so the definition of soulmates are the souls created at the same moment of the divine outburst. Also explaining the connection that we have with others that we encounter through life. The ancestral wound is the responsible reason for the perceived sensation of incompletion. It is also known as a deep emotional wound that has not been cleared yet passed on to the next generation. We therefore inherit all of their joys and sorrows that we incorporate in our life the destiny of another person from our own family. Hence again, we are all interconnected through a thread of energy connecting one to another. And so this is the reaction to which manifests as the pursuit of happiness and completion through each cycle of embodiment. The learning of the soul's expedition is the same on each path, understanding and healing. Or with the example I like using, before being embodied in the human form, say one of the things that we wanted to learn was love. And in order for us to learn love, we needed to learn and understand the feelings of heartbreak, of self-hate, of feeling unloved. And so we chose our soul path. And of course, that is not me implying that whatever had occurred in our life that was traumatic, we had deserved or we had asked for it. However, in my own personal journey, I look back on it now and I think if I hadn't gone through all of that, I would never truly understand what it would be like to self-hate. I never would have understood the true aspect of forgiveness. And so the story goes with the creation of the twin flames. Being an undivided soul, in our creation, we were released from that pure source of God's mind and projected towards the universe created, which is the manifested universe. At that moment, the soul is then split. When I say split, again, it's 2 vibrations, 2 frequencies, 2 energies, 2 polarities like darkness and light, feminine, masculine, is when we experience the realm of duality and the interaction between polarities. Once energetically reconnected, the 2 parts of the original soul are able to execute together the expansion of energy of creation, the recoding of the spiritual DNA, otherwise known as our soul's blueprint, our ley line, our ancestral DNA, our Akashic record in the spiritual glossary of the light body activation. And this is where it gets tricky. Our human energy field is made up of several layers. To name a few, we have the mental body, the physical body, the emotional body, the etheric body, the astral body. These are all aspects of the light body. Beyond these densities, we have further ways to activate the higher functions of the light body. And so, the teachings of the light body could take many lifetimes to master. Unconditional, authentic love in one's being of self is what fuels it. In the beginning stages of my spiritual awakening after I met my twin, I had come across the chakras and also the Kundalini awakening. We are energetic beings gifted to carry the intelligent electromagnetic energy field around our bodies. This fuels and sustains and protects our physical form, as well as feed and fuel our mental and emotional state. The word chakra itself means vortex, like a complex grid of electricity, also known as the auric field. And so, depending on interactions by the external influences, and depending on what mental blocks or stagnations that we've got, it can also become dysfunctional, disturbed, and scrambled. Each chakra being like a portal where subtle energies and information from higher planes of existence, like the quantum field, are funneled and channeled through to us. The chakras then distribute this information and energy through the meridians that flow throughout the body like a complex river. The subtle energies influence matter and denser forms of reality. Upon meeting your twin flame, it completes a merging of the 7 subtle bodies. Once the 7 chakras are spinning in correct form, then comes the Kundalini activation. Now, I've read online that a Kundalini is a fantastic experience. Unfortunately, I can't say the same. I honestly thought I was dying. And I got told it was a panic attack or anxiety, which at the time made sense to me. Now, I think I've mentioned it in my spirituality video, one of my first ones, that if you haven't heard of the Kundalini, I definitely wouldn't recommend just activating it. Upon understanding what it means though, it is the goddess within you. It is an expanded state of the consciousness. This is also embracing the divine feminine within, the goddess within. The sacred feminine is a source of all manifestation in both the inner and outer worlds. When you have access to it, you have access to your own energy. But of course, before embracing or acknowledging this dragon or goddess or serpent within, we step into the shadows of fear. And this is the process that includes the clearing of the ancestral wound, the family templates, and genetic baggage. Its intention is to help the union evolve into a templating that activates a once thought junk DNA to ensure the union's success. Causing this dynamic is the runner and the chaser. Don't even like using those terms. But at the beginning of that phase through fear, one may not even realize that their manifestation points are the things they need to clear. The fears that emerge when in contact with the clearest mirror of who you are, and then allowing yourself to walk through those fears, transforming them into a deeper space of unconditional love and connectedness. And always going by the examples of my own personal experiences. Before my spiritual awakening, before I'd met my twin, I had closed my heart to love to the point where I'd forgotten how to cry, literally hardening my heart. My twin had actually said to me the words, "How can you be so adamant on not believing in something that you know nothing about? You can't say that you don't believe in love when you reciprocate it with fear," not realizing that he was right. The amount of hate that it takes to close off your heart is nothing compared to the tsunami of emotions when your heart starts to reopen. And so looking back on my own journey from childhood to adulthood, somewhere in between, I disconnected myself and hid behind a mask, becoming a false mirror within my own reflection. And then I started to write, keeping a journal, which also became the key to opening my Pandora's box. As my heart started opening, I felt isolated from life in general, seeing humanity destroy itself, seeing hate being imprinted on others, and then seeing the other side of humanity, seeing those who are less fortunate, those who have no homes, those who have absolutely nothing would give all that they had to those less fortunate than them. And through this fear, I also saw all of my flaws, how I was behind my mask. This was my breakdown. This is a journey that I can only describe as if you're struggling to swim. in the emotion of humanity's tears, in the emotions of hate and anger and sadness and despair, regret, fear, guilt, and the waves are pulling you down into nothing but darkness, where you drown in nothing but emptiness and waking up from what seems like a nightmare and doing it all over again the very next day until it seems as though to live is to go to sleep, hoping that you never wake up. And it is there, engulfed in your own darkness, and embracing that dark, learning to love every single aspect of myself, all of the distorted images of myself, all of the broken cracks of myself in the mirror, my true reflection, feeling each emotion, consumed, possessed by each and every single one until I learn to let it go. It exposes us to our vulnerabilities. Our vulnerability is probably the one thing that allows us to step forward, taking action, owning that goddess within, which also makes us value our self-worth. Being vulnerable is a reminder that we are humans, taking a risk without fear of the outcome. This is a sacred and healing light that only comes as a result of fully embracing that dark within your light. The healing cannot be forced, manipulated, or pushed into existence. It is the true power of accepting our own deep pain, and it is loving that part of you. Your twin will open that door for you, but you walk in there alone until you realize that you are worthy, until you realize that you are beautiful, until you realize you are unique and special simply because you are and not because you have to be. The union back to yourself. And this is our journey back to source. The twin flames are conceived as both the Alpha and the Omega within the pure love of God's divine presence. One single unit separated into two Christ lights, one being the Alpha flame, the other being the Omega flame, a reflection of the sacred union of the divine masculine and the feminine within the source. The original energies in the soul are that of the triad, the Trinity. Representation of that is unity, body, mind, and spirit, which is why they say that the meeting of your twin flame is like returning home. It is the feeling of oneness. Only when both original halves of the twin flame become strong pillars on their own, when both have healed and resolved their karmic ties in the present life, can they finally unite to fulfill the divine purpose. And through this, that service to mankind is bringing back to the world an unconditional love. As a collective, we are all one.